Hello, everyone. Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be talking about what just happened in Ultimate X-Men #1. Let's talk about the creative teams in case you missed our preview. So this book is written and with art by Peach Momoko, with a script adaptation and translation by Zack Davisson, letters by Travis Lanham. So this is the third title in the Ultimate Universe, completing for now the debuts of these titles, and I'm very excited. So let me give you a quick synopsis of what's going to happen. Then we are going to get into spoilers. If you haven't read the book, make sure to go read the book or go check out our preview video where we talk about a little bit what this book should be about. But we're going to get into all the details. We're going to get into the story. I will advise content warning for suicide in this book. I'm surprised that Marvel didn't have anything up front, but they do have a little message at the back of the book. In this book, visionary creator Peach Momoko creates a new generation of X-Men for an all-new universe. Hisako Ichiki, a teenage girl who just wants to live a normal life, go to school, hang out with her friends, ignore the political strife broiling over after the events of Ultimate Invasion, but life has other plans for her. In Japan, urban legends have sprung to life and brought some unusual new powers with them. Meet Armor Maystorm and a group of new Ultimate X-Men like the likes you've never seen before. So I will tell you, in this issue, we really only follow Isako, or Hisako. We really only follow her throughout the adventures, but there's definitely a lot of setup. There's definitely a lot of really interesting stuff that's kind of played out. So when we first meet her, we see that she's at school. She's kind of an outcast, and there's something going on. There's definitely tones of an incident that has happened at the school with one of her friends that unfortunately has passed away. Um, and she feels guilty for that. And this is when she starts having some visions. So they really lean into the urban legend aspect of this. I think also Peach Momoko very smartly leans into a little bit of the more horror style vibes of this. Um, and that's kind of where we go. So let's look at these other pages that I pulled. Here we see that Isako is being chased by this entity that has invited her over to the temple, where her friend and her used to meet, and now this entity is kind of chasing her, and also like after her. She knows that this entity is definitely up to no good. She has visions of her old friend, which are terrifying. Both this entity, the zooming in on the eyes, like everything that's going on here is pretty, like, for an X-Men book, feels pretty horrific. Now, I have some inklings that I would think that this is some sort of version of the Shadow King, maybe combined with like some local urban lore. But this could be a whole new thing. I'm just trying to think as we go into this because we are adapting Armor, who is an existing character, and Peach Momoko is kind of retelling and rebuilding that world. I'm like, who else could we bring in from the X-Men world that would have a tone that is so dark as this? And the Shadow King is the only character that kind of came to mind that would go through these lengths. The abilities that this entity has to kind of communicate in the darkness, display these visions and show these horrific things. So Isako does eventually, as she's running away, her powers come to life, which is really cool, really well done. I love the first appearance of this armor that we know very little about, except that it looks really cool. Now, the news plays this incident off as a drunk driver, but Isako is the only one that kind of knows the truth, right? So she keeps being kind of confronted by this entity all throughout. But when we have what I call the final showdown of the first episode or the first issue, it is really, really cool. We have this entity once again showing up, and I love the lettering for the voice of the entity. I think it's really like it just really adds a little bit to that tone of darkness. It feels weird. It looks weird. Even the facial expressions when they show up. But then I love the design of the armor, and we see a little bit more detail in the next preview image. But as this entity attacks, the armor springs into action to protect her. I don't think Isako's really controlling any of this yet, but I wanted to highlight two of my favorite panels. Right, just this armor, very much looking like a samurai armor that kind of sprung to life around her, and I think, and I have a feeling that this armor, because it's all based on like a little charm that her friend gave her, I think this might be like containing the spirit or the soul or something like that of her friend who has passed away, and now maybe he's come back to protect her. That's why I feel like the armor acts independent of her, right, without her really having to do anything. But yeah, just look at these two really cool panels. Peach Momoko's kind of like water style, painterly style, really brings all this to life. So yeah, I really enjoyed this first issue. I think this really very nicely rounds out the first wave of these Ultimate Universe comics. And we haven't even met anyone yet, other than Isako and Armor. So yeah, I'm very interested to see what happens next. In the preview and the covers that you'll see at the end of the video, we have a character that's very Storm-like. So I think that might be the new iteration of Storm in this or at least somebody that's kind of like Storm. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. We'll see what goes on. We'll keep talking about these books because I really, really love the Ultimate line. I don't think there's one bad book among those. So if you have read this book, let me know what you thought about this down in the comments. As always, thank you for watching, everyone. And remember to share, like, subscribe, hit the bell so you know when we go live. That is most Saturdays, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Stay tuned. We have more comic reviews, trailer reactions, TV recaps, all that fun stuff here in the channel. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye bye.